Well, some more on that party in West Hoxton now, which is under the microscope, with nearly half of those who attended now infected with COVID-19. Laura Tunstall is in the city's southwest for us this afternoon. Laura, the party now being classified as a super spreader event.
Yeah, that's right, Lizzie, and it certainly has locals concerned, of course, because there's been a growing list of exposure sites linked to that party. So you can see here behind me, this is a testing clinic at Preston's, and we've seen a steady stream of cars here all day. They're going down the street, around the block, of residents who have come here to have a COVID test. That party at West Hoxton is being called a super spreader. 11 people out of the 30 guests that attended that party have returned a positive result for COVID. 9 News understands that there were a handful at the party who had been vaccinated. That's because they work at Bankstown Hospital, and we understand that they have all returned a negative result. Certainly we are expected to see some more exposure sites, possibly listed by New South Wales Health later this afternoon. We'll certainly keep you up to date with those developments here in Sydney Southwest, Lizzie.
Premier Gladys Berejiklian is calling it the state's scariest period of the pandemic as the eastern suburbs COVID cluster swells to 36. Chris O'Keefe joins me on the desk. Chris, there's been a COVID scare within Parliament and it's been very close to the Premier.
It has. So the New South Wales Parliament is now essentially a hotspot because the Agriculture Minister here in New South Wales, Adam Marshall, has tested positive to COVID-19. Now, he was at a restaurant with 3 of his National Party colleagues on Monday night, a restaurant in Paddington where there was a diner there who was infectious at the time with the coronavirus. He has then gone into Parliament. There you can see that's on Tuesday, just after the budget was handed down. And that night, on Tuesday night, that is where New South Wales Health is most concerned about. There was a dinner for 80 in the Strangers Room in a dining hall in New South Wales Parliament, and the Treasurer, Health Minister and Gladys Berejiklian herself gave a speech at that event. Now, that is where they believe that Adam Marshall was infectious. And then the question was for New South Wales Health, well, is the Premier of New South Wales a close contact, and does Gladys Berejiklian have to go into isolation for 14 days? Now, Kerry Chant did the appropriate calculations and said at this point the Premier is only deemed a casual contact. She's been jabbed twice with AstraZeneca and she had a test very early this morning and she has tested negative. But nonetheless, you can imagine Minister Marshall, when we caught up with him via Zoom today, he was sort of scratching his head as to how he managed to catch it, given he was just sitting at a pizza place and came into contact with nobody.
They seem concerned with the time period after 24 hours after I was exposed to the virus. So we're talking about 6 o'clock, 6:30 onwards on Tuesday night, and that would encompass the budget night dinner that I attended as a minister, which there are around 80 people in attendance at Parliament House. Brad spoke, the Treasurer spoke, the Premier spoke. I mean, they all came in, spoke, and then left. They didn't stay and were part of the dinner. So, National Party members of Parliament, ministers, and members of the public. I'm just so worried about what this means for other people. You know, what the implications could be for them and the Parliament itself. And I feel, to be frank, pretty lousy about the situation.